Let me tell you right now, whatever you think this movie's about, it's not. Beau is Afraid was directed by Ari Aster, and it stars Joaquin Phoenix in the titular leading role, and is one of the most confusing, intelligent, insane films I have ever seen. Beau is Afraid has a very interesting story that is hard to summarize, but if I were to give you a brief one without spoiling anything, it would be that Beau is a man who is scared of everything. He was raised that way, and his fears come to fruition in his everyday life and lead him into a strange and obscure adventure that takes us through the world of his mind. I don't really know how else to describe this movie because it's just so whack. The reason this review is so late is I saw it once with my friend, and he and I were just kind of like, okay. And then we were like, we'll watch it again. And I watched it a second time, and I understand it a little more now, but still, wow. This movie's going to polarize a lot of people. I can tell you that right now. This movie is extremely strange. It's not meant to make cohesive or coherent sense, necessarily. It's more interpretive, and considering it's taking place in the mind of a man who very clearly is having mental struggles, and played wonderfully by Joaquin Phoenix, you can believe there's a lot of stuff happening here that doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's one of the reasons I really love this movie. This movie is made by A24, and they are one of my favorite studios right now because they're one of the few ones that actually put out original concept films and will let a director like this one just make a 3-hour movie with basically a fever dream. So, yeah, there's that, and on top of that, this movie really solidly lands for me. The direction is brilliant. The script, though, is the strongest part of all, because the direction is beyond some of my favorite of this year. But the screenplay is just so in-depth and so intertwined, and it's very carefully woven. After the rewatch, I noticed a lot of things in this movie I didn't notice the first time around, and when you see them, you really begin to get some clicks. The thing is, you have to decipher what's reality and what's fake in this movie, which in itself is extremely difficult, but I feel like if you're watching this with your brain turned on, it can work. It's hard, kind of, because I feel like this runtime can make it difficult, but it's worth it. Joaquin Phoenix in here is sensational. This man is once again on his top tier performance. This man has an Oscar for a reason, and this right here is actually some of my new favorite works of Joaquin Phoenix. I've been a big fan of his. He's just a magnetic screen presence, and here is no exception. He's giving his all A game. But his performance is backed up by so many other performances in here of actors who are dedicating themselves to this movie in fashions that are just extremely interesting. This movie can be unsettling. I'll tell you that right up front. This movie's got some very disturbing sequences in it, and I love it for that. I love that this movie pulled no punches. This movie is bonkers. It is batshit crazy, and I'm loving every second of it because it's not insane for the sake of, it's insane. It's insanity. It's crazy. It's insane because it's got some intelligence behind it. There is something there beyond just, what's happening on screen with colors and imagery and things like that. There's method to the madness, and that's one of the reasons this movie is great. I just don't know how to talk about this movie, except for this is a movie you will probably only see once in your lifetime, because this movie is very much this movie. There's not going to be another one like this, and I'm sure in the future this will be considered a classic of our time because of just how much I know this is going to change cinema. This is going to change a lot of the way we shoot and do things, because one thing I have noticed I want to talk about is that runtimes are being allowed to be longer. Directors have more freedom now, and this is a perfect example of letting them do that, and it works beautifully. If I had complaints about the movie, the runtime is a little too long. It doesn't necessarily need to be that way, and there were sequences in here I didn't think needed to be added, considering the grand scheme of the story, and felt like they were trying to hold the audience's hands maybe a little too much, and those are the parts I didn't like. I liked when the movie treated me more mature, more like an adult, and let me just enjoy everything that was happening on screen with the gorgeous cinematography and everything else involved. Because I truly do believe if you miss this movie in theaters, you're missing a true cinematic experience. This movie's categorized as a horror, comedy, thriller, and it's kind of all of those and even more, and even those don't do it justice. This is a film that you really need to go see. I think it's something that's just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's so fantastic, and I can't recommend this enough. It's mind-blowing. I'm going to give Beau is Afraid an 8 out of 10. So thank you guys always so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you all next time.